fast forward a while, and, you know, nothing changed that was too dramatic. I was still bipolar, except now she had added to that severe depression and social anxiety, and I think that was all she had added to at that point. But she had thrown out other diagnoses like, oh, well, you might have this, but we need to talk more so I can decide if that's what it is. And I remember feeling, there were sometimes I remember leaving there and just feeling like, God, what is wrong with me? I have all of these disorders. There's just so much wrong with me. And in the process of this, even though she had diagnosed me bipolar, severe depression, social anxiety, she never recommended that I go on medication. Now, she never told me not to go on medication either. She just said to me, I would rather we work this out without you being on medicine. Because her thought was that medicine was bad. It was wrong. It covered up a part of you that it shouldn't cover up, and you should just figure all of this out through therapy. And now I know that not to be true. There are some times when people need to be on medication and in therapy. In fact, that is the most effective way to be cured, so to say, is through medication and talk therapy. And I know that now. So I started to believe in all of this as we're going on. For those of you who have never been to a therapist and who have never been naive in your entire life, when you go to a therapist, you build a bond of trust. This person that you're talking to is literally holding all of your secrets. All of them. So you have a trust there. And you also trust that they're doing the right thing for you. That they're telling you the right information. And they're not trying to lead you off on some like wild goose chase to find how to make yourself better. That's just part of therapy. And it's a good part of therapy. And good therapists will not do that to you. They will not betray your trust. They will not try and pressure you into things that you don't want to do. They will not try and tell you. They will, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's essentially when they're trying to extract information from you, leading. They in court it's called like leading questions. You can't ask a leading question. They can't say things like that to you because it may lead to false memories and things like that that are entirely inaccurate. Memory itself is almost completely inaccurate anyway. You don't need somebody else throwing random information in there. That is an ethical therapist. They will not do that to you. They will sit there and they will let you essentially figure out things on your own with a little guidance along the way. This woman took it upon herself to many times, many more times than I could count, would try and lead me into thinking that a thing had happened in my past that didn't. And they were all, you know, relatively small things, so I was never horribly, traumatized by these memories that all of a sudden surfaced. The most prominent thing that happened within our therapy sessions was also the most disturbing. She somehow got it into her head that I was probably sexually abused as a child. Don't ask me how she got this idea in her head. I have no fucking clue. I don't remember ever saying anything to her that would make her think that. I remember her asking me about my childhood and my relationship with my father, and I honestly don't remember what I said. Not exactly anyway. My relationship with my father was tenuous. He was gone a lot of the time because he was in the army, and he was also a young father who didn't exactly know what he was doing. So it was tenuous at best. But he never beat me. He never forced me to do things that I didn't want to do that were outside of normal, parenting things. It was... I don't know how she got it in her head that I was sexually abused as a child. I just don't. But she started laying blame on my father. And she would ask me if I would remember certain things. When I was little, did he do this? Did he do that? And I couldn't remember. The reason that I couldn't remember these things is because you don't even gain a memory as a child until you're about 6. Anything before 6, it may as well not even have happened. It's called infantile amnesia. It happens to everybody. It's very rare to remember things before the age of 6 or 5 or around there. No one remembers things from their infancy. And so, of course, I don't remember things. There was one time when she asked me to go home and ask my mother if she ever thought, or if my mother could ever remember a time when my father beat me or sexually abused me. I should add, too, that my mother had bought into this as well. So we were both, at this point, attached to this, and we're rationalizing it and justifying it and making it okay for all of this to have happened. So I went home and I asked my mother, and my mother thought for a while. And she goes, no, I don't remember anything. There was this one time, though, that you did something, and your dad, or you were in your room playing with something, and then your dad went up to yell at you, and you had the door to your room was closed, and I could hear him yelling at you, and I could hear like a bumping, like a bumping up against the wall or something. And all of this memory of my mother's caused us to speculate. Never a good thing. So I took this back to my therapist, and I told her what my mother had told me, and my therapist suggested that we try regression therapy, which is essentially hypnosis, in order to remember this memory. So I tried hypnosis. A very crucial fact about hypnosis is that it never works. Hypnosis is completely false. It is a giant piece of pseudoscience that has never been proved to work, ever. The truth of the matter is, if you think hypnosis will work, it will work. If you don't think it'll work, then it won't work. So, here's me, all young and naive with my open little mind, and I go in, she hypnotizes me, and all of a sudden, here's this memory that I haven't been able to grasp for years. I was being yelled at, and I was backed up against my closet door, which it was one of those sliding closets, they're like this, but then they slide like that. So it was a sliding closet, and he was yelling at me and in my face so hard that I'm like backing up against this closet, and that's what was making the bumping noise. And here's this memory, all of a sudden, oh my god. So now my therapist is armed with this false piece of information that she falsely extracted from my mind with the help of my mother's memory, in which she did not see what happened exactly. She does not know what happened aside from the fact that she heard my dad yelling at me and she heard a bumping upstairs. And also my therapist's leading questions, and her, after so many months, convincing me that my father had done something to me. We didn't know what yet, but done something. So through those two things, here's this memory, all of a sudden,